Welcome to Building Bulletproof Backs, where we redefine the mainstream medical approach to healing stubborn back pain. Join physiotherapist and movement addict Marian McRae on a mission to end the back pain epidemic. Building bulletproof backs requires mental, physical, and emotional strategy. Hope is not enough. Listen now as she interviews real-life back pain sufferers who have found a way out of the nightmare and introduces you to leading-edge teachers with powerful tools that can change your life. You can do this. Your body knows how to heal. You just got to learn how to get out of its way. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Hey listeners, and on today's episode 4, I'm going to finally be chatting to a guy about back pain. I think we've had 3 women on so far, so I thought it was time to balance out the numbers. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Marian. I'm a physio on a little bit of a mission to reduce the back pain epidemic, which in Australia costs $40 billion annually, which is a huge amount of money. And I was only researching the other day, in the US, it costs about $90 billion annually. So back pain is a big deal, and those of you who are in it know that it's a big deal. And so the idea of this podcast is that we just chat to people, especially people who are either helping those in pain or people who've been in pain who've found a way out. And so that fits with my introduction to Michael. Michael, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners? Tell us just a little bit about you.
Hi, yeah, my name's Michael. I'm a Sparky in Margaret River at the moment. I've been living here for about 20 years. I got in town about 98 on my way back to the East Coast, and because it's such a nice town, I stayed, and there's a lot of fun for me to do in this town for activities that I like to do. So there's a lot of rock climbing and mountain biking in the area. So it's it's a town that really suits me.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky, aren't we?
Yeah, it's like traveling around Australia. It's a very special place in this country.
Yeah, and I mean, being a Sparky would certainly place a few demands on your back, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a few things, like crawling through roofs and just sometimes you're in just in positions that move your center of gravity around. So it's just not like like you're standing or sitting down or anything like that. You're on the side. You're bending over underneath things, and
exactly.
It's all fun and games.
I can imagine. All right. So would you like to just give us a bit of a background on your backstory?
Yeah. So I think my backstory is over a long period of time. So I'd say it started when I was young, and having to sleep in one of those old beds that have the spring base and just a mattress on top, and those spring bases when they wear out and you lie in the bed, you're pretty much touching the floor, and the way that my folks fixed that was to just put an old door underneath it, so from a bad bed to like a solid bed, and it wasn't too comfortable.
Oh, I love their ingenuity though. Whatever works, eh?
Yeah, whatever works, and that's what you got to do, through those times, and then after a series of say falling off ladders, I had a bad habit of falling off ladders when I was young, so and kind of like knocking myself out, falling out of trees, and a few things like that, just led to probably the way my back was, and probably I had really bad balance, and that's probably why I fell out of all those trees during the time as well.
Wow. And did you break bones in any of these falls?
No, I've knocked myself out a few times, but I didn't, not that I know I didn't break any bones, so I was
And
pretty
so
lucky.
your spine, it sounds like your spine copped a few traumas in a few different places over a few number of years.
Yeah, yep. So at the in my late teens, it was difficult sitting and reading a book. I had to, like when I was sat down and read a book, I was always moving my neck around, so my neck was seemed to be locked up all the time.
And then, sort of, what treatments, what therapies were you even trying? Treatments and therapies at that stage?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't trying. No, I didn't really. I just thought it's just one of those things, and it wasn't until I got to Melbourne. Then a friend said, "Oh, you should see a chiropractor." So I saw this guy for a couple of years, and that was really good.
Yep.
He rectified like a few problems. Gave me some nice stretches to do that like stretched out the meridian lines and
Right.
things like that. So that was really helpful. But it was just like, I think probably from all those incidents when I was younger, I just needed that little bit of say body maintenance as
Yeah.
the years go
And it
went by.
sounds like you needed a fairly intensive period of therapy to sort of unwind maybe all the things that got a little bit twisted, a little bit kinked, and a little bit, habituated. So you found relief with the chiropractic. So then was it all over, and is that the end of the story?
No, it's never the end of the story. So I did that for a few years, and I'm not quite sure. Probably you'll be a good person to ask this. So, like, if with all those accidents that I went through in the past, um, and if my back kind of like my spine just kind of like goes out of whack a little bit. Do the muscles have a memory? So like if you are kind of like held back, like to so your back become straight, I'll put back into position again. Would the muscles push them back out?
Well, it's a good question. I've had that one before. What I think happens is that when you have an injury and it hurts, your body learns a new way to move around that injury. And long after the injury is healed, your brain has become accustomed to that new way of moving. So that even if you visit someone and they line you up, so to speak, your brain hasn't been lined up. It's still operating off the old model. And so it sometimes just reverts to what it knows. And so alignment and movement patterns are brain based. And when we alter a structure, unless we alter it in the brain, it kind of doesn't stick very often. So that's a generalization, but certainly for long standing issues, yeah, the tissue has a memory, the brain has a memory, and unless you affect it at those levels, it's often very short lived.
Okay, yep, sweet. Yeah, and then after I kind of like got my back, like it was pretty good. Getting strong. I was doing a lot of rock climbing, so
Yeah,
that was keeping my um, body strong.
and rock
Yeah,
climbing would have to be one of the best movements for a back, hey, because it's core, it's opening up your hips and a lot of hip mobility, it's non weight bearing, and you get some good traction as well when you're hanging off one arm and moving your weight left and right. It's actually, I think, one of the best movements anyone in back pain can sort of take up.
yeah. I found climbing was good for my back because it just helped me stretch in every direction. It's kind of like
Mm.
yoga on rock.
Which is what you need for your Sparky activities, hey?
Yeah, pretty much. It kind of like helped me in a few incidences. Like climbing over things and everything else. Um, so that was good. I found sitting down, driving, like if I had to drive long distances and sit down, that tended to, like hurt my back, and I just had to kind of like, keep on, just stretch it out really. Probably do like some simple, yoga poses and things like that, just things that I've picked up along the way.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were trying a lot of physical things, and it was responding to those things, but perhaps, maybe it kept coming back. At what point did you ever explore whether your emotions were involved or whether your thought patterns were keeping you in it?
Yeah, that was probably maybe a couple of years ago when I was still living in Melbourne. Like I thought I was like, just pretty chilled out and everything else, but then someone told me, you're just stressed out, and that's what's making your back hurt even more. And I'll go like, oh, maybe I am stressed out. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm okay, but I don't know. It usually takes someone else to tell you what you are. So
And
yes.
yeah, that is so interesting because we can what's happened? We've all got used to being stressed that we now feel normal in a stressed state. And we kind of have a reference point of a baseline level of stress as normal, and yet our body physiologically is stressed, but we've adapted to being that way. And so when you start tapping into some physiological markers like your breath rate or your blood pressure, you can actually start to track, and most people, you will have evidence that even if they're sitting in front of you saying, no, I'm really quite relaxed, their heart rate will be off the charts and their breath pattern will be off the charts. But that's become their new normal. So it's such an interesting thing, isn't it, that we don't realise we're stressed, which sounds crazy.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's what we are, all the time. So you just don't realize it. You just get into that habit, and you therefore for so long that you just think that is the new normal.
So what did you do when you sort of thought maybe stress is playing into this? And the stress, we know, creates the cortisol, which feeds the inflammation. So your body, if you do have any vulnerable areas and old injuries, if the blood circulating through them is full of cortisol, and that creates inflammation, which has got to find somewhere to stick. So it's a really valid pathway to ongoing body aches and pains. So how did you approach that when you sort of thought maybe this isn't a part of my back pain story?
I started probably going down that meditative road. I suppose back then I was reading, like getting more into Buddhism and things like that. So if that just like doing, just more meditation. I was doing more yoga, which I never, I used to do a lot of stretching, but just like more yoga, like say, I'm not quite sure what the different types are, but, the more stretching type, the more, just like meditation, yoga and everything else. So, and that just really chilled me out. So, and
Awesome.
it was great because, like from where I was, just like really, like I suppose like slightly stressed, but like I still, like I was using that stress, like just to keep on going, at 100 miles an hour, to just a really chilled out zone, and pretty much the a lot of the pain did go away after that as well.
Wow. And so what I've observed is that there's more blokes struggle with persistent back pain than women. And what I've really noticed in the private group over and over again is women joining up to my private Facebook group in an attempt to find some solution that's going to help their husband's pain. What are you, two questions. What's your take on maybe why men seem to suffer more than women with persistent back pain? And the second, what would you say to those women trying to help their husbands?
Oh, well, I suppose, like it might be just the way, like people just like the ingrained thing of just put up with it. Just like the male ego of, okay, just like, you just push through it, get over it, and everything else and stuff like that. So it's but what could someone say to them to get us? Well, it's hard because like you don't want to like tell someone to to get over it and do something, because then that like sometimes triggers defensive emotions as well. So I'm not quite sure what you could say, what specific thing you could say to someone to get them to like get over it, or like to try something else.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it?
Just try to guide them. I think that's the only way.
Yeah, it's a really it's certainly something I experienced for years. In my marriage was a partner with chronic back pain, and I guess it's attributed a lot to what I'm now doing, and so I'm grateful for that. But it's really interesting that as women we take on our partner's back pain as our problem, and it's really interesting what you've said about why men, maybe they do have that pressure on them to be not broken, and so they carry on and they carry on, sometimes sort of making the problem worse and pushing through. And maybe they're the breadwinner and they've got to keep working and keep the income coming in. So I guess they feel a little bit more backed into a corner in terms of that maybe they can't rest. Maybe there's the whole ego thing. It's an interesting thing, hey?
Yeah, like it is. Like like if you get injured, like there's times when like I've been had an injury, and I've just got like just push through it. Just keep on going. I suppose that's kind of like part of me reading when I was younger. A lot of mountaineering stories where guys, like have had serious injuries, but they still had to get themselves off the mountain and things like that. So I suppose a good one was, I think it might have been the first time I saw you when I stacked my mountain bike and my back was really sore, and so instead of calling someone, I thought I'd just ride my bike home. I went to push it home, but it hurt me back too much, so I had to kind of like ride it home. And then I saw you, and yeah, and you go like, I think you need to go and get an X-ray.
Actually, I remember that now because you were so acute where the handlebars went into your back, and when I touched them, I thought, you had every sign of fractures in your back, and I thought, man, surely if he's fractured his back, he wouldn't be riding his bike to a consultation, or and hence why we sent you off for X-rays. And I remember this because you came back in with the X-rays, and I read the X-ray report, and it said you were clear. And then I went to touch your back again, and it had the same level of acuteness. And I thought, this is just not right. This doesn't add up. And when I then looked at the films, it was clear as day. I think you could even see the transverse processes were cracked. And, that for me was a big lesson in terms of, my God, the patient can see their fractured back, and yet the radiographer has not documented this or noted this and has called this back no abnormality detected. And I think that is certainly as a practitioner, it's a lesson that always trust your instincts. Doesn't matter what a scan report says. If your gut instinct is this is not good, I shouldn't be pressing on this, then you don't. And, also we need to just bear in mind that sometimes our scan results can be false negative or false positive, meaning they can get it wrong. So clinical skills always outweigh diagnostic findings in my book. But how amazing that I think it was your transverse processes. So as long as you rested and braced, they could heal. And so we can break our back and still be and cycling a bike. It's quite crazy, hey?
Yeah. Like it hurt, that day, of course, a lot, but then it did settle down. I felt like, like from that level of pain, it did settle down a lot. So I didn't really think that much of it. So until you started sticking your finger in it, and then it hurt again. But it's something that I've had probably trouble with as well. So like people, like I go and see somebody and they go like, how much does it hurt? And I went, well, it always kind of hurts. So it's kind of like normal.
Yeah.
Like probably if someone had, like, not say that injury, but like how my back usually is when like how it feels when it hurts or when it used to hurt. They say, if someone just had that new, they probably would think that it's like right high on that register. But for me, it's just slow because I'm just used to it. And it just doesn't.
That raises another point. I've often thought that too, that some people obviously have a higher pain threshold than others. And what, in actual fact, I think that works against them because they can put up with the pain. They tend to do it for a lot longer than someone who has a very low pain threshold who, they're not used to any pain and they get a little bit and they go, bouncing up and down to get action, to get rid of it. So, these pain threshold sensitivities are interesting, and certainly we know that your pain threshold is a unique thing. Women tend to have a higher one than men, but that's biological. I think that's so we can give birth to babies. But certainly if you haven't slept or if you're anxious or worried, your perception of pain becomes heightened. So a pain that you'd normally rate as 3 out of 10 becomes an 8 out of 10. So, all these things play into that old pain threshold, and patients hate it when you ask, give me a number out of 10, how bad is it? A lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, because like what is 10? Yeah, they get like, that'd be like pretty. You don't know what the scale is. I suppose some people can like click onto it early, but I was like, what's 10? Is it like being on fire, or I don't know, show me a scale, or but yeah, like being like if you're used to what the pain is, then it just becomes like numb.
Yeah, and all the only reason we're asking, we're just trying to get an indicator of is it mild, moderate, or severe, and sometimes that's a better question. And also sometimes we're trying to use it as an objective marker of whether you're responding well to something or not. So sometimes if I have a movement session and I'll say, what number are we sitting on now before we start moving? And they might be on 3, and then the idea is that as we move, we don't mind an elevation of 1 or 2. But we don't want to go beyond that with any movement that we do. So, it can be used as a language tool, but it's a pretty open-ended one. I agree.
Yeah, it's just I suppose that comes down to the communication, being able to like for you communicate with the client, and the client communicating with you of their history and how much pain that they've been in, and if they've just gotten used to it.
Yeah. So talk to me about use of medication in your journey. What sort of drugs did you try? Did you find any useful? Where did you end up on that whole aspect of managing back pain?
Usually I try not to take much medication at all. I usually like to try to feel, I like to feel what my body's doing. So, like for painkillers, just probably something that would help reduce the swelling. And actually, that's probably the main thing that if I do have some if you do have medication, it would just be to reduce the swelling. Because then the swelling, creates, will create stiffness and just make the body hurt more. And I've kind of like more clicked onto that more with my was not recent, it's 2 years old now, but my foot injury that when I fractured my heel, I found when like if there was a lot of swelling around, it just made it more stiff, and it just made it hurt even more.
And there's a fine line, isn't there, between protecting your nervous system from ongoing pain with using a few medications and generally making yourself feel emotionally a bit happier and, able to get out there and do some things that make you feel a bit more normal and happy versus taking this purist approach of not taking any pills. There's got to be a good balance there, and it's up to the individual, isn't it? But drowning your pain in medications does take away your body's ability to feel, and I think it's a middle of the road outcome on that one. I think it's smart the way you play it.
Yeah. It's really a personal way of and like of how you can deal with pain as well. Like if you're unable to deal with it, or if it hurts a lot. On my last road trip, I had a lot of, I took all the painkillers that the hospital gave me and had them just as backup. And there's a few times at night I had to take them if I went on a say 5K walk. Like my foot would just like throb. So and I just had to take them just so I could pretty much sleep. So.
Yeah, and your foot's a different story to your back even. Like the body part and the story of the injury is different, isn't it? I mean, if you've cracked your foot or your heel bone and you're going to walk 5Ks on it, there's a fair chance that's going to stir up something. Rather than not move at all, sometimes you take the joy of 5Ks of walking. If it's only going to cost you 2 Panadol, that's kind of, a trade-off that I would feel is probably the emotional value of having fun kind of outweighs any of the negative effects of a few pills, in my opinion. So, the drugs are there for a reason. We just obviously don't want to overuse them or use them too heavily or use them and nothing else.
Yeah, and like with a back complaint, you need to, you need to keep on moving. I find as well. So, like if it's walking. And just keep your body moving. That way, you're getting that blood circulating, which is key, and just that mental, just being relaxed mentally as much as you can, because that is another. Like fight. So you're fighting. You can be fighting the pain, but then you're fighting the hatred of the pain as well, and it can become a vicious circle at times.
Yeah, and that's where the head game comes in, hey.
And that's when the head games come in. So you just kind of you go oh, you're hurting. So because if you're in pain, you just want to stop, but then sometimes you can't stop because it'll just make you make the injury go longer and just worse at the end. So
so if you top 3 tips for someone in back pain, go back to your deepest, darkest moment when you were in it and you were struggling and you thought, man, this is it, I'm going to be here forever. What do you wish your future self would turn to you in that moment and say, Michael, do these 3 things and you're going to be fine?
I think core work is key. But when I got to Perth, I did a little bit of Pilates, and they were made how much I was able, how limber I was and able to stretch and things like that. But even though I did a lot of climbing, my core work core was to them was absolutely rubbish. So which I was quite surprised with that as well. So probably I think what helped my back a lot, and this is over like a decent 6-month period or even more, was was a lot of core work, but moving. So like instead of you're not doing so not moving as in say like doing your sit ups or doing planks, but like being kind of like in a semi static position, but then moving the rest of your body or moving your legs and everything else. So and I kind of like got into that those core exercises, and that's kind of like looking at like core exercises for rock climbing. So like when you're climbing, you're just not in a static position. You're always moving and things like that. So so core work, like core, like torso. I kind of even call it like torso strength.
Okay.
Because you're doing, because people think the core just like your stomach, but then you got your back and your upper back, and like everything is a part of everything else. So, and the other one probably is movement. I think was it Alexi?
Alexa?
Alexa, yeah. So I did some classes with her, and I think that really helped me as well, probably more than what I probably realised at the start. But then just having fun, and it's just like kids' movements, like probably as an adult, sometimes you're just thinking yourself too serious to do like your bear runs and things like that, walking on like your hands and feet, across the grass, oh, it looks stupid, but it's like you're having fun, and that's what probably kids do, and that's how they're usually so nimble as well. So
I think what you're touching on is the difference between core work and movement. They're quite different, aren't they? So core work is, designed to activate key muscles in your body, whereas movement is the ability to shift weight. It's the ability to spin, roll, pop, spring. It has different qualities to it, and they both overlap in some areas, but movement is a quality or a skill. It's like an intelligence that we either have or we don't have. And some people, dancers, for instance, have beautiful movement intelligence, but they may have no core. So, you can't predict either from someone until you assess it.
Pretty much. Yeah, they're two different, but then they're they're combined. I suppose they're pretty much essential, I think. Yeah. And then I suppose the third one, people like with back pain, they'll be listening to this, is probably you've got to find someone that works well with you. So with me, I like my, I like going to say, to chiros. I just want to if I'm feeling out, I just want to be put straight. And throughout the years, I've seen, in traveling, when you're on your road trips, you go driving a lot, and you just want to, and you kind of I feel my body is out, and I need to be put back into position. That there's good ones and there's not good ones, so you just got to find ones that work.
How do you tell if someone's good or bad?
You don't until you see them. So
until you've had a treatment and maybe your body
until you had a treatment and they just didn't suit you. So probably another good example was maybe about 8 years ago when I went road trip back over east to go climbing, and when I got there, I just felt my back just felt really twisted, and it did hurt a lot. And I got an X-ray done, and from the back you could just see, my spine was just like a slight S. It wasn't, on the side profile, you're supposed to have your curvature, but from the back, it should be pretty straight. So I went to see somebody, and they just dicked around and didn't do anything really. And I left the next day. I had pins and needles in my feet. things like that, and trying to like climb and not be able to feel your feet was not a good thing. So, and then I found at another town in Horsham, like this old school chiro, and he put me straight, and I felt like $1,000,000.
Yeah, right.
So
I guess
it's just.
I guess it's when you're moving to a new town, word of mouth, probably asking the locals.
Yeah. It's hard. I suppose, yeah, but then I suppose that like you can ask the locals, and this person might work for their injury, but they might not work for your injury.
Yeah.
As well. So I suppose probably what I'm kind of also saying is that that an injury is very personal to your body.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think. Like it's very very personal, and then and yeah. So some things work, and some things
but also
may not.
Also, you have a clear belief about what you need for your body. So, from listening to you, your belief is you don't want them to dick around. you want them to get in there, and you want to physically feel like something's been moved, shoved, or pushed. And so, with your belief system, if someone came in with, a softer approach, your belief probably wouldn't allow that to have any influence because, you've built up a belief over time of what works for you, and it's probably correct. But all these beliefs we have about what we need for ourselves affects the outcome of the person that we see, which is, an interesting idea in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, and also, like so with that, so I've got my, if my back's sore, like I've got my go-to, I'll probably like chiropractic, but then then I'm very open to other treatments. You see around like the fascia treatment and stuff like that, which is really good as well. So
yeah. So where do you think you're always going to need to rely on a bit of outside care for your spine?
I think. Yeah, I think I do. I kind of look at because I see it as like a structure, or like a car. So you always need to maybe get your wheel bearings done here and there, and things like that. You just need like a bit of an oil change and whatever. But yeah, you do need some structural help here and there, depending on how your body. What's happened to your body in the past. So
yeah, probably. Yeah,
I think all those things that happened throughout my life, from my younger years. Actually, I forgot about the couple of car crashes that I've been involved in as well. But there's a lot of things that probably have helped. Just wear the vertebrae down a little bit. So
yeah, and I think having the odd treatment here or there, if it makes you feel good and feels like you're nurturing your system and caring for your body, is a great investment of dollars. I think if you're turning up every single week and seeing no improvement, then there's something really wrong about that. But you sound like you've got the sweet spot.
Oh yeah. You can't overdo it. Otherwise, that would just like make it worse. But yeah, like people need to treat their body like they probably would, like say, anything else, and just give it a tune up. Like even if it's just like a massage or anything else, just like treat it, and then it'll just like it will love it and just keep on going.
Because we only get one body for life, hey? And I would argue sometimes people are more than happy to drop a few grand on their car when it breaks down. And yet when their back breaks down, they quibble about, $80 to see a masseuse or a physio. And you think, my God, this is your motor vehicle for life. And you are questioning an investment of a few $100. We don't value our bodies sometimes. Not everyone. Some people value their bodies immensely, but it is our one machine for life, and the earlier we start taking care of it, the better it will respond and serve us for the rest of our life.
Yeah, pretty much. And when it gets like, starts playing up and breaks down, life's can be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, well, look, they're great tips. I appreciate having the male perspective, and congratulations on your journey with your spine. It sounds like you have tested it to the nth degree, and it keeps responding beautifully to what you're investing in it. And thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for discussing your story and passing on your wisdom to any of those people that are still sort of on the journey.
No worries, Marion. Yeah, thanks for having me, and can't wait to the things open up again, and I can get a bit more treatment.
I don't think you need it, mate. You sound like you're doing beautifully.
Yeah. The foot's kind of playing up a little bit now.
Okay, I'm happy to work on the foot. All right, well, you go rest up, and thanks again for your time, Michael. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Marion. Bye.
Okay, listeners, that was episode number 4. We've had, we're up to 50 downloads, which, it doesn't sound like much. And my daughter was less than impressed when I had said we got to 25 downloads. She's banking on 1 million, so she may have to wait a little while. But please share the podcast if you feel anything you hear might help someone in back pain. And remember, we're really just selling the message that to heal a spine, you need to come at it with mental, emotional and physical tools. And you can find all of those in the back program, 8 weeks online, that I've put together. Many thanks for listening, and we shall see you for the next episode.
Thanks for listening to Building Bulletproof Backs. To learn more about Marion's unique 8-week Building a Bulletproof Back online course, visit the link in the show notes. You will receive a step-by-step system providing mental, physical, and emotional strategies for smashing your back pain to the curb. Ain't nothing like this anywhere else on the market. Become your own hero.